Hi, welcome to my video on solving a system of equations over theta or for theta over 0 less than or equal to theta less than or equal to pi as a radian in terms of pi. So notice we have equal to 0 and equal to pi, which is 180. So we got equal to both of 0 and pi. Find the value of theta over this interval, 0 less than or equal to theta less than or equal to pi as a radian in terms of pi. So really, I didn't need to say as a radian in terms of pi, because this, if I gave you this interval here, this interval is in terms of pi, which is a radians. But I just added it on. Now we have two equations making the system. So y equals the secant of theta plus cot to the negative 1 of negative 1 plus 5. And we have this equation in terms of x and y. So this looks different. So the cot to the negative 1 means arc cot of this number. So the arc cot of a number gives us an angle in degrees or in radians. So in terms of cot, tan, the inverse of tan is from negative 90 to a 90. And the inverse of cot is from 0 to 180. And from 0 to 90 is positive. From 90 to 180 is negative. Because this number is a negative 1, that means we have to look at the angle that's in from 90 to 180, and 90 to 180 is in quadrant 2. So we draw, this is the rotation to get to the quadrant 2. And so if you have cot is adjacent over opposite, so that is negative 1 over 1. So in terms of the reference angle, in terms of this angle theta if you want, but the reference angle adjacent is negative 1, opposite is 1, hypotenuse is root 2. So this is a 45 right triangle. So the reference angle is 45. That means that theta is going to be 180 minus 45. Because the second quadrant, the reference angle is 45. That's 180 to here, come back 45, and you get a 135 degrees. So the cot to the negative 1, the arc cot of negative 1 is 135. So that will replace this with 135 degrees. But we have an equation here that we have to simplify. So let's take this equation and simplify it. So a half times 2, notice that these are all even. And notice that 1/3 of, can take 1/3 of 9 is 6 to get what I call good numbers. So a half of 2y is y. A half of 6x is 3x. And a half of negative 4 is negative 2. 1/3 of 9x is 3x. And 1/3 of 6 is plus 2. Notice that there's a 3x on each side, so they cancel out. So y is equal to 2 plus 2. So y is equal to 4. So this, even though this equation looks like it's a linear equation, in terms of y and x, the x's cancel out. So we just get a horizontal line, y equals 4. So that means that this equation here, when I put 135 in, will be secant of theta plus 135 degrees plus 5 equals 4. This is 4 is equal to y, and theta, this part right side is equal to y, so they're equal to each other. So that means the secant of theta plus 135 degrees is equal to 4 minus 5. So the secant of theta minus 135 degrees 4 minus 5 is negative 1. So we let theta plus 135 equal A. So we have the secant of A equals negative 1. So secant, reciprocal of secant is cos, so the cos of A, or cosine cos. The reciprocal of secant is cos, reciprocal of a negative 1 is a negative 1. So if you have a circle like this, and you have cos is the x, so right here this is 1 comma 0, this is 0 1, this is negative 1 0, this is 0 negative 1. Cos is the x, so x is negative 1, so that means that this angle A is 180 degrees. I didn't have to do a reference angle. Reference angles in turn would be done if you were in one of the quadrants 1, 2, 3, or 4. So theta is 180 degrees. So angle A is 180 degrees. So therefore, theta plus 135 degrees is 180. But we want the values between 0 and pi, or 0 and 180. So let's put on, this is secant, and cos, secant or cos, has a period of 360. So we go 360 times n, where n belongs to the integers. So theta is equal to 180 minus 135 plus 360 degree n belongs to the integers. So theta is 180 minus 135 is 45 plus 360 degrees n, where n belongs to the integers. So we want it between 0 and pi, so that's between 0 and 180. So let's check. What about if n and theta? What about if n is negative 1? So we got a negative 1 here. We have a negative 315 degrees. That's not going to do it. What about we have a 0? If n is 0, then we get 45. What about n is 1? If n is 1, we get 360 plus 45, which is 405. So the only answer we have here in terms of degrees is that theta is 45 degrees. Now we want it in terms of a radian. So 45 times pi over 180, and 45 once, 45 4. So theta is pi over 4 as a radian. Only there's one value. So pi over 4 is the answer that fits this equation right here. Again, I threw in this arc cot because we did some videos previous in this unit on the arc, the inverse of the trig function. So I just thought I'd throw that in the equation. So a little bit of a different system here, but it helps you think. And again, if you like my video, click on the like button, click on the subscribe button. If you wish, visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Just one word. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video was of some help to you. Bye-bye.